This is a business economics quick 3-minute summary made by Borja. In lesson 1, we firstly looked at what the company is. It's an organization that combines a set of resources. Then we looked at the different types of companies that there are. The different hybrid of companies can be either traditional or not. Then we looked at the elements of a company, either the people and the economic goods. Then we also looked at the legal criteria and the economic criteria. And we also looked at the difference between owners and managers in a company. In lesson 2, we learned about the environment, which is a set of factors that influence the results of the company. It can either be general or specific. To analyze the general environment, we use Pestle, and then to analyze the specific environment, we use Porter's 5 forces. In lesson 3, we looked at the management system of the company. What do managers do? What are their functions? We also looked at what is a competence, which is the capacity and willingness to do something. There are 3 types of skills: conceptual, humanist, and technical skills. We also looked at different types of roles, which is the interpersonal, information, and decision-making roles. The different types of groups in the company: board of directors, management team, and the intermediate management. And lastly, we looked at the decision-making process. In lesson 4, we looked at how to classify the objective to SMART through the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Then we looked at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We also then dug deeper into the mission and the vision of the company, the general objectives, and the operational objectives. We also took a look at the key performance indicators, which are very interesting. And then lastly, we looked at the strategic management process, which is made up of the complexity, the volatility, the ambiguity, and the uncertainty. And then a big hint, this will be on the exam, so make sure to study up on this process. In lesson 5, we talked about the HR overview, the human resources department. We looked at the attracting function, which could be that of the recruitment. We looked at the motivation function, which could be monetary or non-monetary compensation. We also looked at the training or development function, which is that of developing skills for your employees. And we also looked at the support function, which is that of anticipating the needs of employees. We also looked at the employability. And lastly, we had a very interesting debate about the work-life balance in class. In lesson 6, we looked at how we can add value to the customer through inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing, sales, and service. We then looked at the evolution of the push and pull system. We also looked at the types of production processes, which we all made presentations on in class. We shortly looked at the supply chain management, and then we referring to the types of production systems depending on the product life cycle. Lastly, we looked at the differences between product and service. In lesson 7, we looked at the investment decisions, which basically rely on 2 objectives: the profitability and the investment risk. We also looked at the financial management. We looked at the payback and the return on investment. We also looked at the net present value method and the internal rate of return. We also looked in depth about the collaborative economy, which will be on the exam 100%. And we also looked into the crowdfunding, which is something that we wrote a paper on recently. And lastly, we looked at differences between internal financing and external financing. I hope this was useful. I've never spoken as fast as that in my life, so bye.